Hi, I'm Louise at Spiral Bright Insight. Thank you for being here. This video today is really my attempt to describe what ascension is and what it means and why it's happening. Now, before I go any further, a short disclaimer. Obviously, everything I share is from my own perspective, from my own sort of beliefs with my own filter, and everybody has got a different point of view. Potentially. So my intention is with everything I share that the people that watch this are going to resonate with it and get something out of it. So that's where I'm coming from. But obviously, you know, if this isn't kind of in line with what you think, then, you know, that's fine. You really need to be coming from kind of a perspective of knowing that we are souls having a human experience when we start to talk about ascension, because that is a kind of prerequisite. So that's my little disclaimer before I go any further. But yeah, what is ascension? It's really, as the name describes, it is a process of rising or raising up. And when we're talking about sort of spiritual ascension, it's also been described as the Great Awakening or the Great Shift. Some people see it as a huge quantum leap, but essentially it is where the earth and all of her inhabitants, residents, all the beings that are connected to earth and live on earth are going to be rising up from one lower dimension and frequency to a higher one. Now, this is part of Earth's evolution. It was always meant to happen. If we go back to the beginning, and I wouldn't be able to tell you when that actually is, but Earth was a 5-dimensional planet long ago, and in times of Lemuria and Atlantis, the frequency was much higher, and the people who lived on Earth at that time had a much higher consciousness and awareness. It is believed, you know, that they had all sorts of skills and talents that we have lost or we've forgotten or had disconnected. And over time, as more people and more souls wanted to sort of experiment with and experience separation and duality, the frequency started to lower and drop as more souls were experimenting with control and power, and that sort of led to the abuse of control and power, and gradually you know, we started to become much more disconnected from our higher selves, and we dropped into the 3rd-dimensional reality. Now, as I said, it was always the plan for Earth to return to 5D. We have had free will, so it has been allowed to unfold as it has for so long, for eons of time, but it has been agreed that Earth will return to 5D. Now, what's interesting is that this is actually an experiment, apparently, because there's many other star systems that have had ascension before, where the frequency has changed and, you know, they've gone from one sort of vibration to a higher one. But normally when this happens, the beings in the lower dimension have to leave their bodies, or whatever form that is, to sort of appear in the higher dimension, if you like. This time, this is a great experiment which has never been tried before, but the plan and the intention is for Earth to ascend, for all the beings on Earth to ascend, but this time we don't have to leave our bodies to go into 5D. We're actually going to stay here on Earth, and we're going to keep our bodies. Now, there will, you know, in time be some changes to our bodies as the frequency changes, and we are holding a lot more light, so that's going to have a lot of effect on us as a physical race. But certainly this is something that is happening without us having to basically die and to, you know, leave our physical vessels. So we're moving from the third dimension reality, and I'll explain a bit about what that is, although it's something that we're all very familiar with because that's what we've been living in, and raising up into 5-dimensional reality. And what that really means is that we are allowing a lot more light into our planet, into ourselves. Our awareness is changing, so we're going to start to see ourselves as all connected with more light. The consciousness raises, the compassion and the love raises, the fear starts to be expelled, and we return to a much more higher frequency, essentially. So the third dimension is something, as I said, we're very used to. 3D reality is very physical. It's very dense. It's all about mass and matter. So we have physical bodies, and really for the majority of us, if you can't see it, touch it, smell it, taste it, it doesn't exist. It's not real. And in the 3D existence, we are very much considered to be individuals, and the focus is on us as individuals. So we have been disconnected from our higher selves and from that sort of higher source energy. It's still there, and our higher selves are still there, but we come through and we forget that we are souls having a physical body. We're very much focused on what we can see and touch. The ego is really driving the show, as is the head and the mind. So when you're in a 3D reality, it's not to say that the heart is shut off, but we're not coming from the heart in our terms of our behaviours and our attitudes. You know, everything is processed through the mind. We are very much separate. So there's this mentality of, you know, competition, envy, jealousy. We don't realise that we're all linked and that we're all one. There's a lot of fear, which creates greed. It's a victim sort of blame consciousness. There's a lot of comparison with others. Control is quite strong, and you know, when people are living in fear, they're much easier to control. And you know, a lot of focus on the material, so money, what we own, how we look, rather than how we feel. That's not to say it's a bad existence. You know, it's something that it's our reality. And when we come into the 3D, we kind of pass through this veil of forgetfulness and really forget that we are these amazing beings, and all we see and know and recognize is the here and now and our physical bodies. But you know, it's a great opportunity in Earth, and it's one of the very few places in the universe where you can experience emotions, good and bad. You can experience physicality, so you know, that's all the pleasure, the food, the senses. It's very much a sense-based experience. So we experience life through our senses. Yeah, it's it is what it is, but that we are getting to the point where the human race is ready to ascend and experience something slightly more enlightened, shall we say. So what is going to happen is we're going to move up into this 5D consciousness, which is a change of perspective, and it is it's a different plane of reality, but still here on Earth. And in 5D, we start to realise and we start to awaken to the knowledge that we are souls having a physical experience, that we are all from source, that we're all connected, that when, you know, one of us does something, it has a ripple effect. Manifestation will become a lot more easy. And, you know, we'll understand that we're creating our reality. So when we do that, we can start to let go of poverty and disease and lack and low self-worth, all those lower vibrations and lower energies. We'll be taking responsibility for ourselves instead of sort of putting the blame outside of ourselves. And we will just understand that everything is in divine order. So it is hard to say from where, you know, we're standing now. My understanding is that there are people already vibrating at the 5D frequency. A lot of us are jumping between and going back and forward, sort of being that bridge. It is one of the reasons that there are so many star seeds incarnated here at this time, because star seeds who have had experiences on other star systems may have experienced ascension before and kind of know what's involved. So they've agreed to come here to support and to hold the light and to, really help to activate everybody else and to help them wake up. But yeah, difficult really to say how it's going to happen, what it's going to look like. But it was just my intention really to share my thoughts on that today. Of course, there's a lot of people say there's going to be a solar flash, which will raise the vibration on the planet instantly. And, you know, all the lower densities and lower frequencies will just fall away because they won't be compatible anymore. So that is a possibility. Certainly the sun's energies and solar flares have been ramping up, and the Schumann resonance has been getting really high lately, but that has been happening over time, and nobody really knows when it's going to happen. But really, I think the message for today is to focus on what you want to create. Try not to get sort of tied up and caught up in all the dramas and negativity. You know, there's a lot of stuff coming up because it has to be seen, it has to be come up to be transmuted and released and cleared. So this is a time where we're going to see a lot of sort of the lower, denser, darker energies and behaviours and emotions coming up to be cleared, which is never easy. But that is part of the process. So as long as we're not focusing too much on that and getting tied up in that, we can focus on, you know, the higher frequencies, the higher vibration, the higher consciousness. What do we want this new earth in this new 5D frequency to look like and feel like? So I hope that helps. I'd love to know what you think. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.